Well, hello. It's good to be with you today. Real privilege. You know, they give you a stage, they give you a microphone, and they say, talk. And I've thought long and hard about what to talk about today. I could talk about goal setting, a fun topic. I could talk about personal discipline, a vital topic. I could talk about the philosophies of success, a rich topic. But I decided for our time together to talk about something even more fundamental. Something that comes before the goal, before the plan, before the first disciplined action. I want to talk about the single most powerful moment in your life. The moment that everything that follows hinges upon. I want to talk about the day you decide, not the day you wish, not the day you hope, not the day you vaguely intend, the day you decide. Most people you see are waiting for their ship to come in. They're standing on the dock of their lives, squinting at the horizon, looking for a sail. They're waiting for the right conditions, the right opportunity, the right person, the right feeling, the right sign from the heavens. They're waiting for something out there to change so that they can finally begin. And while they wait, like precious, irreplaceable life sails right on by them. They say, someday, when the economy is better, someday when I have more time, someday when I feel more confident, someday when the kids are older, someday. And someday is the eternal tomorrow that never, ever comes. It is the land of perpetual delay, inhabited by ghosts of potential and echoes of regret. But you are different, or you have the capacity to be, because you understand, or you are beginning to understand, that the future is not something that happens to you. It is something you build. And the cornerstone of that building, the very first block laid in the foundation, is a decision, a real decision, a decision of such clarity and force that it divides your life into two distinct chapters, everything that came before it and everything that comes after. Let me tell you what a real decision is not. A real decision is not a preference. I prefer to be rich. That's nice. So does everyone else. A real decision is not a wish. I wish I were in better shape. That's a sentiment, not a strategy. A real decision is not a negotiation with yourself. Well, I'll try to do better next month. That's an intention. And you know what they say about the road paved with good intentions. No. A real decision is a cutting off. It is the psychological and spiritual act of burning a bridge behind you. It is a moment you look at the alternative, the path of least resistance, the comfortable compromise, the continued drift, and you say, no more. That is no longer an option for me. That door is now closed. It is the moment you move from I'll try to I will, from I hope to I know, from maybe to it is done. You see, until you make that decision, you are like a ship with its anchor still dropped in the harbor of your old life. You can rev the engines all you want. You can have the finest map, the most sophisticated navigation equipment, a crew eager to sail. But you will not move. You will not make an inch of progress. You will just make a lot of noise and burn a lot of fuel and wonder why the shoreline never changes. The decision is the act of hauling up that anchor. It is the moment you become free to actually sail. Now, why is this so difficult? Why do people linger in the land of someday and I'll try? It's because a true decision carries a price. And we are instinctively, often cowardly, afraid to pay it. The price of deciding to get in phenomenal shape is the comfort of the couch and the temporary pleasure of poor food. The price of deciding to build financial independence is the immediate gratification of that frivolous purchase. The price of deciding to repair relationship is your pride. The price of deciding to build a business is the security of a steady paycheck. The price of deciding to become a persona. True learning is the easy distraction of mindless entertainment. A decision makes the cost visible. It brings the sacrifice into sharp, uncomfortable focus. And so most people choose the phantom comfort of indecision. They choose to live in the vague, gray middle ground where they can always tell themselves, well, I haven't really failed because I never really started. They avoid the specific pain of discipline by accepting the general, nagging, lifelong pain of regret. What a terrible trade. But you, the architect of your future, you understand a profound truth. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. Let me tell you a story. It's not my story, but it's one I've carried with me for years because it illustrates this point so perfectly. Imagine two young men. Let's call them Jack and Tom. They grow up in the same small town. They go to the same school. They have similar abilities. They both, in their quieter moments, dream of a life beyond the town's borders. They both talk about seeing the world, building something, making a mark. Jack, He talks a good game. He has all the ideas. He'll tell you about the business he's going to start, the books he's going to write, the places he's going to see. He collects brochures. He dabbles. He takes a class here, tries a project there. But whenever the moment comes to make a hard choice, to invest his savings, to move to the city, to commit to a demanding course of study, he hesitates. The price seems too high, the risk too great. He tells himself, I'll do it when I have a little more money saved up. I'll do it when the timing is better. I'll do it after I've researched it just a bit more. His life becomes a masterpiece of almost. He almost started. He almost went. He almost made it. Tom is different. One evening, sitting in his modest room, he feels a peculiar restlessness. He looks at the brochures on his desk, not as fantasies, but as indictments. He thinks about the passing years. And in that quiet hour, he makes a decision, not a wish. A decision. He decides that within 1 year, he will be living and working in a major city, starting on his chosen path. He doesn't know all the hows yet, but the what and the when are now set in stone in his mind. That decision, that night, changes the molecular structure of his reality. From that moment on, Tom sees the world through a new filter. His old excuses are no longer valid. They are just noise to be ignored. His old fears are still there, but they are now obstacles to be navigated, not stop signs. He starts saving money with a ferocity he never had before because he has a reason. He starts making connections, sending letters, asking questions because he has a destination. He starts reading different books, developing different skills because he has a new identity. He is a person who is leaving this town to build a life. He doesn't have all the answers on the day he decides, but the decision itself begins to attract the answers, the people, and the opportunities he needs. 1 year later, almost to the day, Tom is packing his car. Jack comes to see him off. Jack says, "You're so lucky, Tom. I wish I had the guts to do what you're doing." And Tom, being a good friend, doesn't say what he's thinking. He doesn't say it wasn't guts, Jack. It was a decision. And you could have made it too any day this past year. He just shakes his hand and drives away. 10 years later, their lives are unrecognizable from each other. Tom has built a career. He's seen places he once only dreamed of. He's been knocked down, sure, but each time he got back up, guided by that original decision. He is not the same person he was in that small room. The decision forged him into someone new. And Jack is still in the town. He has a different job, but the same feeling. The brochures are faded now. The ideas have grown stale. He's older, more settled, and the horizon he once looked toward has become a wall of regret. He doesn't talk about his dreams anymore. It hurts too much. He made a decision too, though he never articulated it. He decided to stay. He decided that the price of leaving was too high. He decided for comfort over courage. And the universe, being an obedient servant to our true decisions, gave him exactly what he chose, a life of quiet what if. Now you may say, "Jim, that's a fine story, but my situation is more complicated. I have responsibilities. I have debts. I have people depending on me." And I understand that. I'm not talking about being irresponsible. I am not talking about abandoning your duties. I am talking about the internal private revolution that happens in the quiet of your own mind before any external change is possible. You can decide right now, today, that you will become a person of financial wisdom even if you're in debt. That decision won't magically erase the debt, but it will change how you read, who you talk to, how you spend your next dollar. It will set you on the path to solvency. You can decide right now, today, that you will become a person of vibrant health, even if you're out of shape. That decision won't melt the pounds away, but it will change what you put on your grocery cart tonight and whether you take the stairs tomorrow. You can decide right now, today, that you will become a person of lifelong learning, even if you feel behind. That decision won't fill your head with knowledge, but it will direct your spare moments toward a book instead of a trivial distraction. The decision is the setting of the compass. The action is the walking of the path. But you cannot walk purposefully until you have first set the direction. So, what does this day of decision look like? How do you know you've truly decided? And not just wished harder. First, there is a profound sense of clarity. The mental fog lifts. The endless pros and cons lists stop. The back and forth debate in your mind falls silent. It's as if a verdict has been reached in the courtroom of your soul. The trial is over. The jury is in. The sentence has been passed. There is a strange, powerful peace in this. Even if the decision is a difficult one, the energy you were wasting on indecision is suddenly freed up and available for action. Second, your language changes. You stop saying, I should, I oughta, I've gotta. You start saying, I will, I am, I do. Your words become declarations, not deliberation. You stop talking about your decision to everyone who will listen, seeking their approval or validation. You become quietly certain. You know it in your bones. You've moved from the committee room to the commander's chair. Third, and most importantly, your behavior begins to change immediately. You don't wait for Monday, for the first of the month, for the new year. A true decision demands an immediate, symbolic, and substantive first action. If you decide to write a book, you don't just buy a nice notebook. You write the first paragraph today. If you decide to get fit, you don't just research gym memberships. You go for a walk today. If you decide to repair a relationship, you don't just plan the perfect thing to say. You make the call today. That first action is the down payment on your decision. It seals the contract between you and your future self. This is where most people fail. They have the feeling. They have the moment of inspiration. But they let the sun set on that day without taking a single concrete action that aligns with it. And by the next morning, the feeling has faded, replaced by the familiar gravity of old habits. The moment has passed. The door briefly opened has swung shut again. Don't let that happen. When you feel that clarion call of decision, you must strike while the iron of your will is hot. Do something, however small, that is irrevocably tied to your new path. That action etches the decision into the stone of reality. Now, let's talk about the areas of life where this day of decision is most critical. These are crossroads where your future is truly forged. The first is the decision about what you will tolerate. This may be the most powerful decision of all. Every person has a personal threshold, a standard below which they will not allow their life to fall. For some, that standard is very low. They will tolerate poor health, toxic relationships, constant financial anxiety, a job they despise, a life of quiet resentment. They have decided passively that this is just the way it is. Their decision is to endure. You must decide actively and consciously what you will no longer tolerate. This is not an act of complaint. It is an act of creation. By drawing a line in the sand, you create a vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum. Once you declare, I will no longer tolerate being out of shape, your mind, your life will begin to organize themselves to fill that vacuum with fitness. I will no longer tolerate financial illiteracy. I will no longer tolerate being disorganized. I will no longer tolerate being treated with disrespect. Decide your limits. Your life will rise to meet them. The second is the decision about who you are. You are not a fixed, finished product. You are a story being written. But you must decide on the genre, the character, the theme. Are you the hero of your story? Or the victim? Are you the person who overcomes? Or the person who is overcome by? Are you a learner, a builder, a giver? Or are you a critic, a consumer, a taker? This is the decision of identity. Most people describe themselves by their past or their current circumstances. I'm just someone who's bad with money. I'm not a leader. I'm shy. I've never been lucky. These are not descriptions. They are prison sentences you are pronouncing on yourself. You must decide who you are becoming. I am a person who understands money. I am developing leadership skills. I am growing in confidence. I am someone who creates my own opportunities. You don't have to believe it fully yet. You just have to decide it. Start telling that story about yourself. Your actions will rush to catch up with the narrative. We all act in accordance with our self-image. Change the image and you will change the actions. The third is the decision about what is important. In the noise and rush of daily life, everything can seem urgent. The phone rings, the email dings, the demands pile up. It's easy to let the world set your agenda. The decision you must make is, what are the few vital things that matter most? Not what's urgent, but what's important. Is it your family's well-being? Is it your personal health? Is it your spiritual growth? Is it your contribution to your field? Decide. Write it down. Carve it into your mind. Once you have decided what is truly important, it becomes the lens through which you view every request, every opportunity, every hour of your day. You will learn to say no to the trivial many, so you can say yes to the vital few. This decision brings order out of chaos and purpose out of busyness. The fourth is the decision to take full responsibility. This is the decision that separates children from adults, amateurs from professionals. It is the decision to declare, my life, its current condition and its future direction is my responsibility. No one else's. Not your parents' fault, not your boss's fault, not the economy's fault, not luck's fault. Yours. This is a terrifying and liberating decision. Terrifying because it removes all your favorite excuses. Liberating because it hands you all the power. The moment you take full responsibility, you move from the passenger seat to the driver's seat. You may not have chosen the road you're on, but you now have your hands on the wheel. You can steer. You can change direction. You are no longer a leaf blown by the wind. You are the captain of a ship. The weather and the waves are not your responsibility, but the course of your vessel is. Decide to be the captain. The fifth is the decision to pay the price. Everything of value has a price. The life you want has a price. The person you want to become has a price. The decision you must make is, am I willing to pay it? Not can I pay it, but am I willing? The price is always paid in advance of the results, in advance of the recognition, in advance of the comfort. You pay in sweat before you see the fitness. You pay in study before you have the expertise. You pay in sacrifice before you enjoy the freedom. Most people stand at the counter of life, looking at the price tab and walk away. They want the product, but they're not willing to hand over the currency of discipline, time, and courage. You must decide, eyes wide open, that you will pay the price. You will trade the temporary pleasure for the permanent gain. You will exchange your leisure for your legacy. This decision transforms the price from a burden into an investment. You are no longer losing something. You are purchasing your future. Now, I can imagine some of you are thinking, Jim, this sounds so final. What if I make the wrong decision? That is an excellent question, born of fear. And I will tell you this. A wrong decision is almost always better than no decision. Indecision is a decision itself. It is a decision to drift, to stagnate, to let others decide for you. A wrong decision, if you are alert and learning, will teach you something. It will move you. It will provide data. You can correct a course, but you cannot correct a standstill. The ship that sits in the harbor is safe, but that is not what ships are built for. It may make a wrong turn, hit a storm, take on water, but it is living. It is on a voyage. And a captain on a voyage, even a difficult one, is infinitely more alive than the captain who never leaves the dock for fear of a wrong turn. So do not let the fear of a wrong decision paralyze you. Make the best decision you can with the information you have and then commit to it. If you discover it was wrong, you can make a new decision. That's your power, the power to decide again. Let me also speak to the feeling that often precedes the day of decision. It's a feeling of restlessness, a deep dissatisfaction, a sense that there must be more. Many people try to suppress this feeling. They medicate it with distraction, with shopping, with food, with entertainment. They see it as an enemy. I want you to reframe that feeling. That restlessness is not your enemy. It is your ally. It is your soul's alarm clock. It is the signal that you are ready for a new chapter, that you have outgrown your old story. That discomfort is the fuel for your decision. Don't silence it. Listen to it. It is calling you to decide. It is calling you to grow. It is calling you to become. Your life today is the sum total of the decisions you have made up to this point. Your bank account is a decision. Your health is a decision. Your knowledge is a decision. Your relationships are a decision. You may not have made these decisions consciously. You may have made them by default, by neglect, by abdication, but they were still decisions. You decided to spend rather than save. You decided to sit rather than move. You decided to watch rather than read. You decided to criticize rather than encourage. The good news is this. If your life today is the result of past decisions, then your life tomorrow will be the result of the decisions you make from this moment forward. The chain of cause and effect is unbreakable. You are not a prisoner of your past decisions. You are simply experiencing their effects. And you have, right now, the power to make a new decision that will begin a new chain of causes and effects. So, how do you cultivate this power of decision? How do you move from being a person who drifts to a person who decides? Start small. Practice. Decide what you will have for lunch and stick to it. Decide to go to bed at a certain time and do it. Decide to finish a small task you've been putting off and complete it. These are like push-ups for your decision muscle. It is a muscle. And like any muscle, it atrophies with disuse and strengthens with use. Each time you make a small decision and follow through, you send a message to yourself. I am a person who decides. And I am a person who does what I've decided. You build a track record of integrity with yourself. This confidence then spills over into bigger areas. You would not try to bench press 300 pounds on your first day in the gym. Don't try to overhaul your entire life in one giant, terrifying decision. Start by lifting the small weights. Decide and act. Decide and act. Read the stories of men and women who changed their lives, who changed the world. In every single story, you will find a pivotal moment, a day of decision. The day Rosa Parks decided she would not move, the day Steve Jobs decided to start Apple in a garage. The day a mother decides her children will have a better life and goes back to school. The day an addict decides, this ends today. History is not shaped by vague wishes. It is shaped by definitive decisions. You are the author of your life's story. Up to this point, you may have been writing passively, letting circumstances dictate the plot. Today, you can pick up the pen with intention. You can decide the next chapter. What will you decide? Will you decide that your health is non-negotiable? Will you decide that your finances are your responsibility to master? Will you decide that your mind is too valuable to fill with trash? Will you decide that your time is too precious to waste? Will you decide that your relationships deserve your finest effort? Will you decide that your contribution to the world matters? Will you decide to stop blaming and start building? Will you decide to stop complaining and start creating? Will you decide to stop waiting and start walking? The day you make that decision, not with a whisper, but with the full force of your will, is the day your future changes. It is the day you stop being a product of your environment and start being the creator of it. It is the day you move from the audience of your own life to the stage. It is the day you become the active voice in your own story. That day can be today, right now. In this quiet moment, as you listen to these words, you can decide. Don't let the sun set on today without making one real decision. One clear, unequivocal, burning decision about one important area of your life. And then take one immediate tangible action, seal it. That decision and that action are the spark. They are the first domino. They set in motion a chain of events you cannot fully foresee, a future you are now actively designing. The world is full of people who are waiting for a sign, waiting for permission, waiting for the feeling. Don't be one of them. The world is moved by the deciders, the ones who, in the face of uncertainty, choose a direction. The ones who, when given a choice between comfort and character, choose character. The ones who hear the whispers of their potential and answer with a decision. Your life is waiting, not for luck, but for your decision. So decide. Thank you, and may your next decision be your bravest one.